Zero COVID's become one of the select drivers of global recession.
If a company is relying on China for any type of material,
if you slow China down, the world slows down.
What happens when you build 68 million houses or apartments and there's no one to buy them? There are no people to afford them. Guys, welcome back. It's Andrea. Today's video is going to be discussing about the Chinese market house collapsing. Peace.
Confidence in the financial sector has plunged.
Where home buyers furious at the delayed completion.
The root cause is a high degree of leverage.
Preliminary restructuring Thousands of them have begun withholding payments.
Rural lenders in the northern province of Henan
Have taken things into their own hands.
What China is facing is more than beyond. Going from people streaming the road, striking in possible ways to get their money from the banks, after the banks have stopped them from withdrawing the cash because everyone lose trust from the bank. From the biggest bank losing value, from the biggest bank not being able, but that's just another side of it. Today we're just going to be discussing about the house market, which is collapsing. China is one of the countries, the continent that grew their GDP so fast, more than anything. Right now they are in the edge of collapse. The only point we have or issue we can be asking ourselves, is it gonna be worse than 2008 USA house market collapse? Is it gonna be worse than a lot of things? This China DGB, which was 000, which was not growing at all in 1980s, then we see it growing up faster, reaching 1 billion, reaching 10 trillion, reaching 15 trillion, which is, by other person can even say, is a miracle. So that only questions, it's only the shining, the goldish side of it, or there must be a dark side about this particular topic. There is a dark side about this particular topic. What's really happening, guys? How did it come for China to build 65 million houses that are empty? And how did they end up creating one of the biggest house market crash beside the 2008 USA recession? But for that, there's a clip that I'm gonna put right now. I don't wanna say anything or add anything on what this guy said, because he really explained, and I'm gonna give credit to him. I'm also gonna link his channel on description below, because China, what they did and how they do it and how they build these houses and how they started creating all these projects. Just listen to the following thing, please.
Population is almost 5 times the United States. However, that's just a tiny part of the problem. When a developer wants to build an apartment block in China, before even starting the project, the developer starts selling apartments before they are even built. Using that cash, the developer starts building the rest, and in the process selling the apartments. At the end of the day, it often takes years to complete such a project. But because the economy is booming and hundreds of millions of people are buying homes, the developers in China can't wait for the project to be completed. So they use the cash from previous projects to start building new apartment blocks in hopes of selling them in the process. And while they are building the new project, they use the funds from it to start a third project, and so on and so forth. And if there aren't enough funds to start new projects, the developers can simply take loans to continue building. Banks are more than happy to provide the loans, since they will be backed by real apartments that are in high demand and rising in prices every year. There is no way they will ever go bankrupt, since if they can't afford to pay back the loan, they can simply sell the apartments to do that. The developers kept taking huge loans to continue building, and people kept taking mortgages to continue buying. Does it remind you of something? This strategy only works when everything is growing. When the economy is booming, people make money and continue buying homes. But what happens if the economy stops growing? What happens when people are forced to stay at home because of some kind of a virus and would no longer make enough money to buy new homes? The answer is simple.
The answer is that what happens when people stay at home and then they're not getting any money? What happens the projects that have been started, they won't be able to be completed. What happens is that the banks, since the Chinese property developers take loans from the banks in order for them to fill and be able to pay for another project that they are kicking on, those projects won't be complicated. They won't be complete. Them not being complete, it means they won't be able to continue selling them for free, which leave them owing the banks $300 billion in loan. But the government of China is trying to bail them out by injecting $148 billion on the house market, even though it won't be enough since there's 65 million houses that are empty. What happens when all this happens? The market of house bubble collapse. The government economy loses it, and when they lose it, because most of the world depend on Chinese, how Chinese world operate, how the world operate depends on Chinese global technique. In China, it's not like you're in America where you can invest in stocks, where you can invest in bonds, where you can invest in SP 500. Chinese government controls everything, which leaves people with one only option of investing in real estate agents. And with that drawn away from them, with people not being able to pay, it drives China GDP down. And driving that down, it causes everything and everyone to go down with them. They still have COVID, they're still in lockdown restrictions, they're still trying to distribute vaccines to different people. There's still energy crisis in Europe, there's still Fed trying to increase high rates, there's still Russia trying to invade Ukraine. There are a lot, and all of these lead to everything to collapse. I'll color you on the next video. Peace.